It's Spoilerin time, live from Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia! Audience is actually getting tired of applauding because we just finished the Cordkillers show and now we're starting the Spoilerin time.
Let's
but you
just
came
restart
through.
the show over
you
and over
came
and over again.
Through. It's going to be a shortened Spoilerin time this week, partly because we've both been traveling and not watching as many things. So let's get right in. Dak is applauding for less editing. We're going to start off with Bojack Horseman, which was released on Netflix, and then talk a little bit about The Shield Season 3, Episode 3. I only watched the first episode of Bojack Horseman. My impression so far is I would like to see a second episode. I'm still unconvinced, but there were some funny things.
Did you happen to watch
No,
any
I
of the
haven't seen
Okay, first of all, Bojack Horseman was like they went overboard on. I mean, obviously there was enough friends of friends to get everybody who's anybody involved in this stuff. Stick around just for the credits to see all the amazing comedy legendary names that are associated with this. I'm not going to try to remember them right now. It's late and I'm drunk. You and I could both talk about the first episode, and then I'm going to spoil you. On the rest
Go
of the
ahead.
episodes.
I don't think it's the kind of thing that really is bad if you.
The first episode, I think, was
and
very,
we only have
very
4 minutes.
It was very, very hot and cold. Like when it was funny, it was very funny. I laughed out loud sitting alone, and then I would. It was very much like that's funny, that's not, that's not, that's funny, that's not, that's not.
That was my first episode.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Going through the remaining 12 or 13 episodes. It gets to there's a surprising they shoot surprisingly high for the depth of characters and for the depth of personality. And in fact, near the end, you have kind of a transformative arc with Bojack Horseman as he realizes spoiler alert, how shallow his life is. And there's this like drug-induced sequence when he envisions what his life might have been like if he had followed the girl he was interested in 20 years ago and lived a quiet life up in Vermont Hills or whatever, and I'm the dad of a daughter, and so to watch him grow old and have this psychedelic vision of this kid or whatever, got a little it tugged harder at the heartstrings than I thought it was, which means going back to I liked it so much more by the end than I did at the beginning. Looking back on that first episode, I could totally see them knowing that these were tepid jokes, knowing that they were kind of falling flat, but knowing that they couldn't cut them because they needed to introduce this character. We can't cut that because even though nobody's laughing at this joke, we need to keep this character and introduce the fact that he used to be an alcoholic to go to this
and that's
part.
the brilliance of Netflix, right? Is the audience is much more willing to forgive that. Because they're like, well, I can just go right to the second episode.
It was, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but it was weird because as I went through the episodes, you could see like it was first 2.5 stars, and then it dropped down to around 2 stars per episode. Then it went up to like 3 stars per episode near the end. It was as though there was this arc that as people were getting more of the backstory and seeing that this is a transformative story because you see betrayal, you see redemption, and the cartoons that you see at the beginning are not the cartoons you see at the end.
All right, I'm going to mention The Shield real quickly here, and I apologize that this is going to be a very short spoiler in time, but we wanted to at least get you one this week rather than skipping it entirely. Season 3, Episode 3 is called Bottom Bitch. It's about a prostitute who seeks the help of the police in her quest to bring down her pimp. And there's also an important Captain Aceveda moment where an ally, a political ally, gets busted for solicitation. And he feels some pressure to let him go, and he doesn't. So that's obviously some foreshadowing to a problem in his political future. But most of this is about Vic Mackey resisting helping this woman who's playing a prostitute because he has helped a prostitute in the past.
How did that work out for him?
And it didn't work out very well. It tore his life apart, and she ended up dying. So the hard part about this is realizing that this woman is different than this person, and she's played as meaner and a little pushier, and yet she's the same woman who plays like the really nice guard on Orange is the New Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. It's the young, like, really with the really big eyes.
The dorky?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she's the prostitute in Episode 3, Season 3 of The Shield.
Hold on, which episode was that again?
It's called, thank you.
Bottom Bitch. All right,
Yeah.
so Orange is the New Black. All right.
Yeah, and I couldn't place her at first. I was like, gosh, I've got cognitive dissonance with this character because she's supposed to be like real pushy and street smart, but there's something telling me she's really nice and kind. And then it actually helped to figure out that she was the Orange is the New Black actor, because I'm like, okay, yeah, I can separate that. But it was pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Mostly, this episode is connective material, though. There's not a lot that happens in this episode that stuns, which is, I guess, typical for the third episode of a season.
Awesome. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find pictures.
You're still trying
of
to
her
find
as a prostitute.
All right, well, that is it for a very shortened spoiler
real quick,
time.
you watched more Fargo, right?
No.
Oh, I saw the word Fargo on your.
I watched the second episode of Fargo.
So you're ahead of me.
I did watch more Fargo.
Why don't you spoil it for me? How's the second episode?
I don't.
You have 1 minute.
Do I?
It was more Fargo, Brian.
It was much better.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was very much the kind of show where I said I have to watch the next episode, even though I didn't have time.
All right,
so,
all right.
Yeah.
I'm in.
That's it, folks. Spoiler in Time is a service of Cordkillers Networks. You can find us at cordkillers.com. Thank you, Dragon Con. We'll see you next time.